going to be speaking about visual scanning and collision avoidance. Visual scanning, it means keeping your head outside the cockpit. It's the #1 tool for avoiding collisions, even with ADS-B and all the TCAS systems that we have in our planes nowadays. It's still the #1 tool for avoiding collisions. It's an active process. You actively have to keep doing it, and you have to learn it, you have to be taught it, and it has to be reinforced. You have to always actively practice this. Physical conditions can degrade the vision, your overall health. Drugs and alcohol, fatigue, hypoxia, and age, all are physical conditions that degrade vision. Anything that affects your I'm safe checklist will affect your eyesight. Illness, you might have tired, dry, and blurred vision. Medication can have minor to major side effects on your vision. Stress, ocular migraine, fatigue, it can be really difficult to focus. Alcohol, you might get drunk goggles, and even a small amount of alcohol can degrade vision. Fatigue, of course, if you're tired, you're going to have blurred vision and eye spasms. And then emotional state can actually physically cause your eyes to dilate or constrict, or make you complacent. If you're so mad about something else, you might get a little complacent and think that's maintaining visual scanning is secondary to your own emotions. There's a number of in-flight illusions that are affected as well. The first one being inversion, and that's from climbing to straight and level. You might have the tumbling backward feeling. Coriolis, head movements in a prolonged turn, because the fluid in the ear kind of neutralizes after 20 seconds, and it still thinks that you're in the turn, even when you're not. Elevator, if you get pushed up by a thermal, you might think that you have to push the nose down. This is pretty dangerous when you're close to final or something like that. False horizon, sloping clouds, terrain can give you an idea that you're not on the straight and level. Leans, feel like you're banking. You feel like you're upright, but you're actually banking. Autokinesis, if you stare at a light for long enough, it's going to start flashing all around you. Graveyard spin and graveyard spiral is going to trick you into overcorrecting for your turn and keeping going into it. And then somatogravic illusion is going to fool you into pitching up when you speed up. So just because you have rapid acceleration doesn't mean you necessarily need to pitch down. The treatment for this is just always trust your instruments. And that's why we do the integrated instruction, where we're relying on our eyes for 90% of the time. We're always scanning back to our instruments. Environmental conditions that degrade vision are going to be the dirty windshield. If we've got that bug on our windshield, it very well could be a plane out there. Weather, blind spots, cockpit management, make sure that you organize everything in your cockpit prior to going out. Even within your iPad, if you're going to a known location, go ahead and have those charts pulled up within your ForeFlight. Always want to be more visible. Try to get flight following whenever you can. And then, if you can, buy a Stratus, ADS-B, Garmin, and it always helps to kind of have a secondary backup. So layering illusions are ground lighting illusions, runway width illusions, runway and terrain slopes, atmosphere illusions, and featureless terrain. Ground lighting illusions, you get this along seashores or rural areas. Ground lights may be perceived as celestial lights. Celestial lights may be perceived as ground lights. Runway width illusions, a narrow runway, you're going to shoot a lower than normal approach and a higher than normal runway. A wide runway, you're going to shoot a higher than normal approach. It's just an optical illusion. And you can see here, it's a wider runway, you're going to be going a little bit higher. And a narrower runway, you're going to be thinking that you're higher than you are, so that you're going to go a little bit lower. Runway and terrain slopes. A downsloping runway can create the illusion that the aircraft is lower than it actually is. So here's the aircraft's getting tricked into going higher, and here's would be a normal approach. Upsloping runway, you're going to be thinking that the aircraft is higher than it actually is, leading to a lower approach. So here's the normal, and here's where it goes, and here's the other angle right here. Normal approach on a downsloping. Hopefully that makes sense. Atmosphere, rain can create the illusion of higher height. Haze can create the illusion of distance. Fog can create the illusion of pitching up. Featureless terrain, dark featureless terrain around a runway results in lower approaches. And this can save your life. I was coming back from Corpus Christi about a month ago, and we learned that our landing light was actually out. I was going 52 Foxtrot, which is kind of in a bowl. And knowing about this featureless terrain, again, this airport has no lighting around it. All I could see was the airport. I made sure to stay high and just drift down. Oh, it has no pathing as well, so I had no idea where it was. See and avoid concept. It is your responsibility to see and avoid during VFR conditions. The external scan during normal flight, you want to look up about 10 degrees and down 10 degrees. So a constant 20 degree scan up and down, and then a 120 degree scan left and right. You should break this scan up into smaller segments. And then 90% outside, 10% down into the instruments. Visual scanning has a lot to do with the time of day. At night, you're going to use the rods, which are the outward signs of the outward sides of the eye, and because of that, you want to look to the side of whatever you're trying to look for. If somebody says, 1 o'clock, you might want to look maybe, right between 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock. And then during the daytime, you can use the cones in the eye, and those focus more on, perceiving color and movement and all that good stuff. Right-of-way rules. This pretty much breaks it down. Powered aircraft, the more maneuverable something is with power, the more of a right-of-way it has. And here it breaks it down a little bit more. Want to look at that, we can definitely go into that as well. And right-of-way rules at night, it's good to understand that the green navigation lights are on the right, and the left navigation lights are going to be red. This is going to help you to decide whether, if an aircraft's coming from your left, you're going to see green, and that means you have the right-of-way. If the aircraft is coming from your right, then that aircraft has the right-of-way because you'll see the red. When two aircraft on the same type are on a collision course, what you do is make an immediate turn to the right and avoid that collision. And here's what I was saying before. If two aircraft are on converging courses, the one on its right-hand side, the starboard side, has to give way. We always overtake and pass aircraft to the right. Clearing turn should be 180 degrees. It is acceptable to do one clearing turn of 90 degrees and back to 90 degrees. We should always be aware of clearing before taxiing on the runway, climb and descents, straight and level flight, traffic patterns, traffic at VOR sites, training operations, and blind spots. Speaking of blind spots, so it'll look like a good day. Our low-wing aircraft, our Archers that we fly, have a blind spot below us, right? So when we scan, we're going to tilt the wings slightly, and make sure that we don't have any blind spots below us. And if we're flying a Cessna, we're going to tilt the wings to make sure we look above us. Poor scanning habits and collision risk. This doesn't look like a good day either. This is your response time. From seeing the object to the actual response time is 12 seconds. And so you can see here that actually becoming aware of the collision course takes 5 seconds. And you're actually only going to have, really just a tiny bit of seconds to actually move. Situations that involve the greatest collision risk: airport traffic patterns, airways, VORs. Even though a lot of people don't use VORs anymore, I still plan all my cross countries on VORs because that takes me away from MOAs and all that good stuff. And so these airways are especially convoluted, alert practice areas, and entering into busy airspace. I got my private certification over here at Grand Prairie, and if you can see over here, these are what we call the Cessna catchers, and then we have a Class Delta airspace. So this area right here is extremely convoluted, and you've got to be on your guard, got to be talking to tower, and you've got to be on high alert. Determining the relative attitude of other planes, you use the horizon as a reference point. If the aircraft is above the horizon, it's probably on a higher flight path. If the aircraft is below the horizon, it's probably on a lower flight path. Most people don't realize this, but daytime VMC is the riskiest time to fly in terms of mid-air collisions. More planes, more risk, and people are a little bit more lackadaisical. And then this talks about the actual bloom effect, where that's what I was talking about earlier with that bug on your window. It can seem like a bug on your window until it's too late. It's going to bloom like a flower right in your window. So if something is on the same flight path as you and it's not moving, it's going to be too late if you don't take immediate action. And thank you for taking the time to check in with visual scanning and collision avoidance.